Discover how a 17-year-old girl transformed her fate after being forced to marry a Mafia Fiancé. Lisa Moreno had always dreamed of wearing a white coat, of stepping into a world where she could heal and save lives. But the day her father sat her down, a grim expression on his face, announcing her engagement to Marco Castillo, everything shifted. Marco, handsome yet dangerous, was no ordinary man. He was woven into the fabric of the very community that suffocated her dreams, a man tied to the underbelly of their small Illinois town, the Mafia. As her heart sank, tension swirled in her chest. "But I want to go to medical school," she had protested, her voice trembling. Yet her father's nod confirmed the inevitable, shackles of history, tradition, and family loyalty. She felt trapped in a web of expectation, torn between the bright future she envisioned and the heavy burden of her family's past. How could she marry someone who thrived in the shadows, where she longed to shine? At school, surrounded by beakers and brilliant minds, Lisa grasped at her escape. Late nights in the lab with Mr. Johnson, her science teacher, became her sanctuary. His passion ignited something deep within her, the desire to make a difference pulsing through her veins. Every whispered idea about the cure for cancer, every breakthrough in genetics pushed her closer to her goal. "You have the potential to change lives, Lisa," he would say, his eyes shining with belief. Those moments made her determination flare, momentarily distracting her from the chains slowly tightening around her. Yet Marco's presence loomed large. It started subtly, a phone call in the middle of the night, a subtle threat against a classmate refused to pay him for protection. Lisa's stomach twisted, and the duality of her life began to gnaw at her. What kind of future awaited her with a man who conducted himself in shadows, where unethical choices seemed as inevitable as breathing? Behind the charming smile lay an abyss she feared would engulf her. As nights grew longer and the pressure mounted, she made a decision that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Lisa filled out scholarship applications in secret, the nib in her pen moving furiously across the pages. Get into medical school, get away. Her mantra echoed in her mind. But each application felt like a betrayal to her family, a strain on the very threads that bound them together. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue.
But just as she began to see a path forward, the news broke. Marco's dealings, his connections to the very shadows she so desperately wanted to avoid, seeped through the community grapevine like poison. In that pivotal moment, everything crystallized. Should she cover for him, protect her family's name, or betray everything they held dear for her own chance at freedom? Anxiety wrapped around her, making it hard to breathe as she stood at the crossroads. The summer sun cast long shadows, stretching over her decision. In that moment, everything hung in the balance. Lisa could either confront Marco, commit to a life overshadowed by fear and loyalty, or carve a path toward the life she envisioned. The stakes were her future, her identity, and perhaps her very soul. As she stood teetering on the edge of her choices, the weight of her family legacy pressed down harder than ever, ready to redefine everything. What choice would she make when faced with the very embodiment of her darkest fears, just a step away? The world buzzed around her, a vivid anticipation, while dread curled in her stomach. Now came the reckoning. What would it be? Security or liberation? The sharp snap of a pen broke the silence in the dimly lit lab, and Lisa felt her pulse quicken as she leaned over the application form strewn across the table. The glow from the desk lamp illuminated her, but it also intensified the shadows around her. With every completed form, a whisper of hope intertwined with threads of guilt and fear. She was deliberately dismantling the bridge between loyalty to her family and her desire for independence. The thought of Marco sent chills down her spine. Confronting him had now become an ominous prospect, agony twisting through her mind. Yet something ignited inside her, a fierce resolve to seize her future, to confront not only him, but the very frameworks of her life that had boxed her in. She had long felt like a pawn caught in a game that belonged to others, but something was shifting. Perhaps it was time to take control. Determined, she arranged to meet Marco the following night. She needed clarity. She needed to understand him in a way that would arm her with knowledge she could use. The lab buzz faded as she prepared her questions, jotting down notes in a composition notebook, each script feeling like preparation for a battle. "What do you really want, Marco?" she wrote. "What about us?" As she closed the notebook, the weight of unanswered questions pressed heavily on her. Did he ever wonder about his own future, or was he so ensnared in the shadowy machinations of the underworld that he had lost sight of anything beyond loyalty? Posing these questions felt risky, but Lisa knew that understanding him might lead right to the information she desperately needed to make an informed choice. That evening, dressed with purpose, she clutched her notebook tightly in her hand as she walked to the designated meeting place.
The air around her crackled with anxiety and determination, each step echoing in her thoughts. When Marco arrived, his presence felt both magnetic and suffocating. He flashed his charm, but there were shadows lurking in his eyes. Lisa wrestled with her fear. She remembered the threat against her classmate. Would he genuinely engage or retreat into Stonewall silence? "Hey, Lisa, I didn't expect to see you here," he said, with a disarming smile that only deepened her internal conflict. "How could you—" She paused, catching her breath, a swirl of emotions crashing against her. The vulnerability she felt made her doubt herself. But with a deep inhale, she steadied her nerves. "How could you be a part of all that?" The shift in his demeanor was instant. The laughter vanished, leaving behind the weight of unspoken truths. Lisa pressed on, determination coursing through her. She wasn't here merely to accuse. She needed insight. "Is family loyalty worth this risk?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tempest within. For a moment Marco's facade cracked, revealing a glimpse of the boy beneath, the boy she had once thought she knew. Guilt washed over her as she saw a flicker of uncertainty pass across his face, but it quickly vanished behind his practiced bravado. "So that's what you think," he retorted, defensiveness draping his tone like a shroud. "You're not the only one with dreams, Lisa." The words, sharp as knives, startled her. Was it true? Did he even grasp the gravity of what they were entangled in? The dynamic shifted palpably, and she could feel the weight of expectation on them both, as if the universe awaited her next move. Here was the moment that demanded her voice, to challenge the loyalty that threatened to condemn her. Lisa's throat tightened, but she forged ahead, compelled by a desire for autonomy. "What if I left Illinois? What if I pursued medical school? Would you still pressure me to conform?" He paused, his eyes narrowing as he processed her words. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken consequences. What would he say? Would he support her dream or pull her deeper into the abyss of his reality? Before an answer could form, Lisa felt a surge of confidence. This moment was more than just a confrontation. It was the beginning of her reclamation. She stepped closer, resolve burning brightly within her. "Marco, I won't live in fear of your choices anymore." With these words, she steered the discussion toward the life she envisioned beyond the darkness that surrounded him. Yet beneath her resolve, doubt began to creep in. Did she truly have the strength to go through with it? There, standing at the precipice of identity and loyalty, she felt the scales tip. The air felt charged with tension as she prepared for the answer that would ultimately shape her fate. The moment lingered, thick with possibilities, shadowed yet glimmering with hope. The question that hung in the air remained unanswered. Would this be the turning point towards freedom, or the moment she sealed her own chains? Lisa stood there, the weight of the moment pressing down on her like a physical force. Marco's silence was deafening, a barrier it seemed she might never break. Her heart raced at the depth of what she had just proposed. The idea of leaving behind her life, her family, all of it, for a dream that felt distant yet tantalizingly close. Confidence surged through her, but it was quickly tempered by the reality of her situation. "Do you even hear yourself, Marco?" she challenged. "You act like I'm going to follow you into a life that shadows everything I want. What about what I want?" The words spilled out, urgent and raw. Each syllable was designed to pierce through the armor he had built around himself. The corner of his mouth twitched, revealing the tension behind his charming guise. "So you think that running away will solve things? That's naive, Lisa," he shot back, his bravado threatening to crumble. "You could lose everything." "And what exactly do I have?" she replied, the bitterness of her voice catching even her off guard. "A life dictated by choices I didn't make? A future written by someone else?" He met her gaze, and for once, she believed he was searching for the answer within her, not just in his own self-preservation. It baffled Lisa how she could feel empowered yet exposed in the same instant. With every word, she fought against fear, the fear of losing him, of confronting the world alone, but mostly the fear of being trapped in a life that seemed preordained. "Maybe you're right," he finally said, voice lowering. "But think about what you're asking. You're not just leaving me behind. You're leaving your family too. They'll never understand." A flicker of pain shot through her chest. It was true. Her family's expectations were like chains, anchoring her to a life mapped out long ago.
The very thought of their disappointment weighed heavy on her, but how much longer could she deny what lived within her? "I don't care if they understand," Lisa replied, letting determination envelop her like armor. "I want this for myself. For once, it has to be about what Lisa wants, not what everyone expects." The ground beneath her felt uncertain, yet she embraced it. Each word stripped away layers of fear, exposing a strength she'd scarcely acknowledged. Maybe, just maybe, she could forge her own path with hinges attached to others' agendas. Marco's expression shifted. The indifference slipped away, replaced by an undeniable softness. "You know it won't be easy." "Easy doesn't equal fulfilling," she countered, emboldened by the resolve shifting like tides within her. "And if I can't support you," he asked, a trace of challenge in his tone, "then I'll find support elsewhere. I'll learn to stand on my own." The conviction in her voice rattled even her, awakening a spirit that had long lay dormant.
The tension hung in the air as Marco let her words settle. She could sense the hesitance beneath his facade, the moment heavy with impending changes. With her heart pounding in her chest, she wrestled with the truth of it all. Relinquishing loyalty meant embracing freedom, yet it also risked losing the remnants of her familiar world. "What if I choose my dreams over us?" she whispered, her own courage surprising her. "What then?" The vulnerability in her voice remained palpable, creating a poignant juxtaposition against the unyielding desires that had ignited her spirit. Would she follow the light or retreat into the shadows of old commitments? As the silence deepened, Lisa felt an insatiable urge to drive deeper into the conversation. "What do you wish for, Marco?" The question hung in the air, shattering the brief moment of ease. Beneath his bravado waited his own dreams, stifled perhaps by the weight of family expectations he'd never confronted. A brave, revealing shift seemed imminent, and she was ready to navigate even murkier waters if needed. Just then, Marco stepped back, eyes wide with uncertainty, the guard finally slipping. I want to protect you from all this, but she wouldn't let him finish. Not yet. Not until she understood the repercussions of what was looming before them both. Familiar emotions surged within her, pushing away uncertainty, fear, hope, and the underlying urge to unravel their intertwined fate. She sensed that perhaps the deepest revelations were yet to come. "Marco," she breathed, her heart racing. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" The fragility of their moment lingered in the air, a tension ripe with undiscovered potential. As the night unfolded, uncertainty and destiny loomed large, waiting for the turn that would either free them or ensnare them tighter in the web of decisions they had yet to make. The unresolved tension left her breathless, a new path beckoning on the horizon. Would they dare to traverse into the unknown, or would they continue dancing around their undeniable truths? As the night deepened, a strange calm settled over Lisa, contrasting sharply with the turmoil of emotions swirling within her. She could still see the hints of vulnerability in Marco's eyes, a vulnerability she hadn't encountered before. It hinted at dreams unstated, desires buried beneath layers of expectations. Yet as intriguing as that glimmer was, she could not ignore the crux of their moment, the impending choice that lay before her. Lisa took a step back, needing air from the intensity that constricted her lungs. The boldness she had felt earlier flickered, and doubt crept in, uninvited yet penetrating. What if she chose this new path and found herself utterly alone? The prospect of pursuing her dreams felt exhilarating yet terrifying, a dichotomy she was still wrestling to understand. "Do you ever think about what you want?" she asked, breaking the heavy silence. The vulnerability lay bare as she reassured herself that this conversation was as critical for him as it was for her. "What I want?" He let out a soft, sardonic laugh. "Yeah, that's rich coming from someone who's about to abandon everyone." Despite his biting words, there lay an unmistakable longing beneath the surface. The edges of her heart clenched, threatened by his accusations. "I'm not abandoning anyone," she countered sharply. "I'm just finally trying to live for myself." It was a sentiment she scarcely comprehended even as she said it. Was it abandonment or liberation that she sought? Absorbing Marco's retorts was exhausting, yet a discovery flickered within her. With each confrontation, she uncovered pieces of her identity, pronouncing her needs over someone else's voiced desires. Identifying her freedoms, she realized, demanded shedding the skin others had crafted for her. "Listen," she began, her voice steady. "We can't continue ignoring our truths. You're not just a protector. You're a person with your own dreams. Do you really want to keep caging yourself? What about your art, your plans?" His expression flickered, surprise cutting briefly through the barricade he had erected. For a moment, she believed the door she had pushed against might part. "Art is just a side thing," he said at last, though the way he hesitated implied otherwise. "My family has a plan for my life too. I can't—" "Stop using that as an excuse. It's not just a life that's decided for you. It's your choice to embrace it or reject it," she implored, feeling the weight of her words stir her own resolve. Would she also have to wrestle with someone else's fear? Contemplation curled around them, the silence heavy yet pregnant with possibilities. Lisa could sense an internal battle raging within Marco, as if he were processing the gravity of her declaration in tandem with her own. "Maybe you're right," he finally admitted, voice barely more than a whisper. "Maybe I'm scared." The admission was more than she had anticipated, and she felt a rush of empathy for him. A vision kindled in her mind, a life ahead where vulnerability wasn't a burden but a beacon guiding them toward authenticity. "We could both choose a path that's ours," she proposed softly. "Imagine what we could create if we didn't confine ourselves." Her heart surged with potential as she spoke, and she could feel the walls and fears that had encapsulated her start to crack. But the thin line of hope was still tempered with caution. Would Marco grasp her vision, or would he cling to the chains of expectation that seemed nearly impossible to shake off? "I need to think," he finally said, swiping a hand through his hair, a gesture tinged with the turbulence that lay beneath his calm exterior. "I can't make promises." Disappointment crushed down upon her, but beneath it rose a glimmer of understanding.
This journey was hers alone, a transformative necessity, because she had realized true strength wasn't only about standing firm. It was about forging paths where none existed and facing the unknown without guarantees. As they wrapped up the night, a sense of resolve settled within her, bolstered by her own shifting perspective. Yet a new dilemma penetrated her thoughts as she turned away from Marco, a singular question. What would her family's reaction be to her decision to depart from their expectations, aside from distancing herself from a world she had long felt trapped in? Determined to pursue her path, Lisa resolved to confront that reality head-on. But would her family's reaction be the final push she craved, or would it unravel her ambition, sending her spiraling back into their staunch ideals? The dawn of an impending choice lingered thick in the air, a shift that could either cement her newfound freedom or drag her back into an oppressive past. What would it take for her to decide her own fate, and would she dare to confront her family to claim the life she so desperately desired? Each thought propelled her towards the looming horizon, her heart racing at the prospect of what lay ahead. With the first light of day filtering through her curtains, Lisa pulled herself from sleep, the weight of the previous night still pressing against her chest. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, aware that the dawn brought no promise of clarity, merely the prickling tension of unresolved choices. The prospect of facing her family gnawed at her, and an urgent need to reconcile her internal world with the external reality began bubbling within her. Sitting upright, she felt the remnants of the emotional confrontation with Marco play in her mind like a looping reel. His eyes, shadowed with fear yet glimmering with potential, haunted her thoughts. This journey was not going to be easy. If she struggled with expressing her desires amid familial expectations, how could she have expected him to respond with affirmation? In the midst of her brooding, a sudden realization struck her. She had long let other people dictate her narrative. Family dinners filled with polite nods and whispered praises had sewn her into a life that felt more like an obligation than an adventure. Today would be different. She needed to show them that she was not someone to be contained, not someone to follow a prescribed path without question. Lisa dressed quickly, donning a vibrant blouse that contrasted with the muted tones she often defaulted to. It was a small gesture, but felt monumental, an outward declaration of her intent to stake her claim on her own identity. As she drove to her parents' house, apprehension swelled within her, mingling with an unexpected adrenaline. The weight of tradition hung in the air like summer humidity, thick and palpable. The moment she walked in, the familiar sense of her mother's cooking enveloped her, a mix of nostalgia and constraint.
Her parents greeted her with cheerful smiles, their warmth inviting, yet Lisa sensed the undercurrent of expectation rippling just below the surface. Breakfast was filled with small talk, laughter, and casual inquiries, none of which seemed to reference the burgeoning storm brewing inside her. In the midst of a discussion regarding her plans after graduation, Lisa felt her heart race. It was now or never. "Actually, I have something important to share," she announced, her voice steadier than she felt. The chatter instantly faded. Her parents turned to her with attentive expressions, curiosity drawn across their faces. "What is it, sweetheart?" her father asked, genuine concern knitting his brows together. Lisa shifted in her seat, resisting the urge to recoil under their scrutiny. "I've been thinking a lot about my future," she began, the words flowing faster than she anticipated. "And I've realized I want to pursue art, something I've always loved." "Art?" Her mother's voice bordered on disbelief. "That's nice, but have you thought about a real career?" Lisa could feel the bite in her mother's words, metaphorical chains lying in wait just beneath the surface. "That's just it, Mom. I don't want just a real career that fits a mold. I want to create, to express things that matter to me. I want to choose my own path." The silence that followed felt deafening. She could see her mother's face paling, piecing together the implications of Lisa's ambition, the possibility of her daughter stepping away from a carefully curated life. "Your father and I just want what's best for you," her mother pleaded, her tone softening as worry flickered in her eyes. "What's best for me isn't always what you see as ideal. I have to figure this out for myself," Lisa asserted. Each syllable solidified her resolve, a tangible commitment to her identity, overriding the cautious voices of her upbringing. Her father's brow furrowed deeper, and an unsettling tension thrummed in the space between them. "And what if you fail?" he asked finally, voice low and steeped in concern. The question hung in the air, an all too familiar specter of inadequacy. But beneath her fear, Lisa felt a surge of conviction. "Failing won't define me. Living in fear of disappointment does nothing for my life." She took a deep breath, feeling the ghosts of old commitments loosening their grip, even if for a moment. But this confrontation felt only like the first act of a complex play. A strong front could very well lead to an even darker response. Her mother's response was a quiet resignation, though she suspected distress roiled beneath the surface. Gaze fixed on her father, Lisa sensed the dynamic spiral toward a critical moment. Would they support her growth, tying themselves to the weight of their traditions, or further attempt to suppress her voice? As Lisa steeled herself against the uncertainty of their reactions, a realization dawned. This was not just about a career choice. This was a declaration of independence. The stakes loomed higher as she braced for the storm she had ignited. The decision to fight for her dreams had been made. The question now was whether her family would rise with her or ultimately stand in the way. As the realization settled, a flicker of excitement coursed through her. What awaited her on the other side of this confrontation? Would they see the woman she was becoming, or would they still be lost in the shadows of their own expectations? As the dialogue shifted, the tension crackled in the air, and Lisa knew that both their futures hinged on the truth she was about to reveal. The weight of her declaration hung in the air, a tangible divide between the life she had always known and the one she yearned to embrace. Lisa's pulse raced, each heartbeat amplified by the tension swirling in the room. Her parents' expressions shifted like clouds across a stormy sky, revealing confusion, disappointment, and, dangerously, disbelief. She stole a glance at her mother, whose hands trembled slightly on the table. The conversation around them faded, absorbed by an enveloping silence that felt heavy with expectation. A cacophony of thoughts cascaded through Lisa's mind. Had she really done it? Had she thrust them into this murky waters of her desires? "Art, Lisa, you know how competitive that field is," her father finally said, his voice low but steady, like a sudden chill in a summer breeze. The concern laced in his tone threatened to unravel her. "You'll struggle to make a living, and we wouldn't want you to waste your education," he added, casting a sidelong glance at her mother, as if seeking validation for his apprehension. "I'm not wasting my education," Lisa shot back, a surprising fierceness igniting her words. "Pursuing art is what I want to do. I feel alive when I create. Isn't that what you always taught me? To follow my passion?" Her heart thudded as she considered the implications of her boldness. Would they perceive her ambition as defiance? Would they understand that this was rooted in her desire for authenticity, not rebellion? "It's a nice sentiment, but passion doesn't pay the bills," her mother chimed in, her tone a blend of frustration and maternal instinct. "We just want you to be secure, sweetheart. You have to think practically." That word, practically, felt like a steel trap snapping shut around her. "But I've been thinking practically my entire life. I want to explore what makes me happy without the shadows of being practical hanging over me. Can you understand that?" The frustration laced through her voice crystallized into raw honesty, revealing a side of her they had rarely seen.
A suffocating stillness followed her outburst. The mixture of anxiety and defiance surged within her, and Lisa realized the contrast between her internal clarity and their confusion only intensified her resolve.
Her parents had been her custodians, but the chains of their expectations now felt outdated, rusted from too much pressure. What if you choose art and it leads to nothing? What then? Her father pressed, his protective instincts flaring. If I don't try, I'll never know what I could achieve, she countered, a tremor of doubt surfacing. Isn't that scarier than failing at something I love? Her mother's gaze softened momentarily, caught in an internal conflict. Lisa noticed her father's shoulders tense, the weight of his authority being questioned. You're asking us to trust you to take a risk, he said softly, the concern replaced with a flicker of vulnerability. Yes, Lisa replied, surprising herself with the softness in her voice. Trust me to discover who I am, even if it means striking out on my own. I need this chance. The conversation felt a pivotal moment, stretching into infinity, a balance teetering between acceptance and rejection. As if summoned by thought, a realization washed over Lisa. This was the crucible of her independence, forged in the fires of familial expectations. No matter how hard it is to accept, I am not afraid to change, she declared, not only to her parents, but also to herself. Each word strengthened her, each heartbeat fueled her ambition. The tension cracked like lightning across the sky, and Lisa could see the cracks forming in her family's facade. Yet as fear and love warred in their expressions, she understood that this moment wasn't merely a clash of ideas, but the birth of a new understanding. Please, just give me a chance to show you what I can do, she implored, and for the first time, she breathed without the weight of their opinions suffocating her spirit. As her parents exchanged glances forged in a storm of emotions, questions danced in her mind. Would they step through the threshold of her dreams with her, or retreat back into their safe, expected narrative for her? Just then, her phone buzzed on the table, an unexpected message that shifted the atmosphere entirely. As she glanced down at the screen, the glow illuminated her face with new possibilities. Would she take the leap into the unknown and welcome this shift in her journey? It dawned on her that this was the path she dreamed of, the chance to merge her voice with artistry and reclaim her narrative. Yet the looming specter of her parents' expectations whispered through the corners of her consciousness, threatening to drown out her excitement. "Lisa?" Her mother's voice broke through her reverie, edged with a mixture of concern and inquiry. "What's going on?" It's just a message from a friend," she stammered, masking her elation. She contemplated whether to share the opportunity with them, but the weight of both their reactions caused her to hesitate. What if they dismissed it as another impractical venture? Could she stand to be crushed again? Her father shifted in his chair, his brows knitting together. "Friend? Collaborating on what?" Just then, engulfed in the tension of her unspoken desires, Lisa made a decision. Art, a mural project. She felt an electrifying pulse of resolve build within her. "It's an opportunity to showcase my skills, to step outside of what you both expect of me." The air thickened again, every heartbeat echoing the silent plea for understanding. She prepared herself for a barrage of doubts, but instead, her father's expression softened, hinting at a release from the protective armor he donned. "Will you really enjoy that?" he asked, almost tentatively. "I already do." Each word unfolded like a canvas, fresh and unblemished. "Creating something beautiful is a passion I can't ignore. It's the only way I feel fully alive." Her mother's eyes flickered, revealing a cascade of memories. Her daughter, paint-streaked, swirling colors together in blissful abandon. With vulnerability pooling in her eyes, she said, "Lisa, I worry about your future." "Can you see, Mom? This is my future. I need the chance to discover what I'm capable of. If it doesn't work out, at least I tried. You always taught me that was important." For a moment, Lisa felt they could understand, and a glimmer of hope surged within her. With a hesitating nod, her mother sank back into her chair, muttering something inaudible. It was enough encouragement for Lisa. She carefully lifted her phone, fingers poised. The weight of the moment felt monumental, a door swinging open to a world she could only dream of. "Let's schedule a meeting," she wrote in response. The sensation of asserting her intentions sent waves of warmth through her, energizing her resolution. Yet just as she pressed send, a flicker of fear shot through her. What if exposing her aspirations led to catastrophic disappointments? Could she handle the pressure of the future? Old patterns began to resurface, unsettling her newfound courage. "You leave tomorrow," her father countered suddenly, interrupting her thoughts. "This project doesn't align with what you need right now. You should think it over." Another challenge. How did she let herself dream only to enter another battlefield of constraints?
Yet, looking at her parents, she recognized that she had a choice again, a chance to break through the confines of their fears and step directly into the unfamiliar, colored space of her desires. The surge of rebellion coursed through her veins. "I will think it over," Lisa replied, not quite knowing if she was affirming their conditions or stoking her fire. "But I can't let this slip away." She turned back to the phone, crafting a message filled with intention, her heart swelling with purpose, as her parents watched in an odd mix of hesitance and cautious pride. What if the mural project turned out to be the transformative leap she needed? Could she convince them, herself, that this was the path meant for her? Was the art of self-discovery worth the risks? As she pressed send, anticipation ignited within her. The step into the unknown felt as volatile as it did exhilarating. In that instant, as resting dreams transformed into palpable opportunities, Lisa sensed the dawn of her own identity, a renaissance of her spirit, teetering on the precipice of possibility. But would her parents' acceptance change the course of her dreams, or would it sow seeds of doubt that could choke her ambitions? As she awaited the response that could alter everything, doubt wove its way into her thoughts like an unwelcome guest. Lisa woke early the next day, sunlight spilling through her window, casting yellow hues across her room. It felt different now, imbued with a tentative energy she hadn't felt in years. As she stretched, her thoughts drifted to the mural project and the exhilarating possibilities it held. Would today be the day she truly began her journey towards self-discovery, or would old fears shackle her again? Managing to restrain her nervousness, she decided to prepare for the day carefully. Each brush of her hair, each choice of clothing, felt like the building blocks for a new persona, one that could step boldly into the world of art.
She settled on a pair of paint-splattered jeans and a t-shirt covered in images from her sketchbook, a subtle yet defiant declaration of who she wanted to be. "Morning," her mother called from the kitchen, the scent of coffee mingling with the remnants of breakfast wafting through the air. A curious glance enveloped her mother's features as Lisa entered. "Hi," she replied, summoning a small smile. "You seem different today," her mother ventured, pouring another cup of coffee with a faint furrow of her brow. "I feel different," Lisa responded, her voice steady despite the tremor of uncertainty beneath. She took a seat at the table, her heart beating with the weight of conviction. "I'm going to meet with my friends about the mural project." Her mother frowned, the concern creeping back into her features. "You're still sure about this? I mean, you have so much on your plate with school and your future." This was it, the moment for Lisa to confront the reality of her dreams against her family's apprehensions.
Mom, the mural is part of my future too. It's where I can envision myself, and I need to explore it before deciding anything else. Don't you think it might distract you? Lisa closed her eyes briefly, allowing the moment of doubt to pass. Honestly, I think hiding from this is what distracts me. I need to create. There's a yearning inside that won't let up. I'm not just some student. I'm an artist too. Her declaration hung in the air, charged with both passion and fear. Was she prepared to fight for this? Would she be strong enough to face the wave of judgment if it came crashing down? The response she received wasn't what she expected. Her mother pushed back her chair and collapsed into it, breathing deeply. "Okay, but you have to manage the responsibilities you already have." "Of course," Lisa quickly reassured her, grateful for even the small semblance of understanding. "I promise I'll balance everything." After breakfast, Lisa gathered her supplies, a sketchbook, colored pencils, and inspiration torn from magazines. With her backpack slung over her shoulder, she stepped outside, soaking in the crisp morning air. Each breath surged with the promise of creation. Perhaps today she would find her artistry again, louder than the practical whispers of her upbringing. The drive to the meeting location felt both thrilling and petrifying. As she parked, she heard her pulse echoing in her ears. It was time to face all the uncertainties swirling within her, to forge her path with every brushstroke and decision she would make. Meeting her friends felt surreal. They greeted her with excitement, but also a hint of apprehension. They sensed the weight of what this project symbolized for Lisa. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" one of them asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "I am," Lisa declared, the conviction settling in her voice. "This is my moment. Nothing's going to hold me back." With each passing minute they brainstormed, the momentum ignited ideas swirling around like paint on a palette. Veronica, with her intricate designs, and Frank, always ready to lend moral support, became the teammates Lisa never knew she needed. Together they sketched ideas that danced on the edge of aspiration. Then, out of the quiet, Lisa's phone buzzed, a message she hadn't anticipated. It was from her father. "Let's talk later. I'd like to hear more about the project." A spike of anxiety pierced her optimism. Would this be another round of concerns? Or could it be a realization that she was finally on a determined path? As she looked around at her friends, the laughter and creativity enveloping her, Lisa felt the gripping fear from earlier fade slightly away. Today was about her, but every choice made in her life would be an assertion of who she truly was, an artist seeking her voice. Yet, as they continued to draft their ideas, uncertainty loomed in the back of her mind. Would their parents accept this newfound identity she was crafting? And if not, would she embrace her choices comfortably, regardless of their acceptance? As those questions bubbled up, Lisa steeled herself for the conversations ahead, aware that the greatest battles often lay within. Was she ready to confront the expectations of her family and the exhilarating uncertainty of her artistic future? The reminder of her father's message echoed in her mind like an ominous prelude. Perhaps the real test of her journey was yet to come. Would she be brave enough to stand firm in her beliefs as the project unfolded? Something deep within her whispered an affirmative. This is just the beginning. The meeting buzzed with energy, yet each enthusiastic articulation of ideas served as a counterpoint to Lisa's internal unrest. The mural was envisioned to tell a story of resilience and hope, a reflection of their community. But for Lisa, it was more than mere paint on plaster. The project had become a catalyst for her own metamorphosis. She was ready to paint her truth into existence, but anxiety prickled insistently within her. As the trio discussed color palettes and composition, Lisa felt an incongruity between her friend's exuberance and her own tumult. She snuck a glance at Frank, whose easy confidence melted her trepidations momentarily. He caught her gaze. "Hey," he said, nudging her arm. "You okay?" "Yeah," she lied, shaking her head slightly, before returning her focus to the sketches sprawled before them. "Remember," Frank continued, "this is your vision as much as it is ours. Don't forget to pour yourself into it." Those words held weight, the idea that she could shape not just the art, but herself through this endeavor. As she reflected, Lisa recognized that her friend's support inspired her more than she had expected. They were drawing out her creativity, nudging her toward the sharp edges of her fears, helping her confront what remained hidden beneath the surface. Her phone buzzed again. It was a reminder of her impending conversation with her father. A sense of dread twisted in her stomach. Would he ever understand who she was becoming? Would he voice the same concerns her mother had? In that instant, Lisa felt an unfamiliar anger bubbling inside her, mingling with her fears, a fierce determination to not be shamed for her aspirations. "We should finalize the mural concept today," Veronica suggested, breaking her train of thought. "Right," Lisa replied, rallying her focus. With pen in hand, she sketched, a flurry of strokes transforming the paper into a vibrant depiction of growth and courage. Each line seemed to embolden her. She began to envision every color representing a part of her: vulnerability, hope, frustration, all woven into a tapestry of who she was. This mural could symbolize her journey of self-exploration, but would anyone see it that way? As the ideas flowed, Lisa felt lighter with each stroke and shared laughter.
Yet, her father's looming message, like a cloud overhead, dulled the potential brightness of the mural in her mind. She questioned whether she could stand firm against his concerns without retracting into herself. The fragile former self nagged at her to take the safe route. The brainstorming session wound down, but Lisa couldn't shake off the realization that she would soon need to negotiate her identity with her father. They wrapped up, but her heart raced with every passing moment. For a brief instant, she considered backing away, suggesting they scrapped a mural idea altogether. But the thought of denying herself this journey sounded hollow. No longer was she merely a student trying to please. Lisa wanted to emerge as an artist, a voice in her own right. "We'll meet again tomorrow, right?" she said, forcing a smile to mask the uncertainty creeping back into her consciousness. Her friends nodded enthusiastically, and Lisa managed to hide her trepidation, but inside she felt the turmoil brewing. A confrontation with her father could change everything. Driving back home, the weight of her decision loomed heavily, pregnant with implications that stirred as she navigated the familiar streets. In that moment, she made a promise to herself. She would not ignore her dreams for fear of judgment. As the house came into view, a strange mix of determination and dread filled her. Tonight would be pivotal. She would speak her truth, lay bare who she was becoming. But what if their acceptance was still out of reach? Was she prepared to face her father, ready to unveil the artist she had just begun to recognize? The looming conversation felt like a storm gathering on the horizon, and she couldn't shake a chilling realization. Could she stand strong enough to hold her ground when tested? Just as these thoughts coalesced, the door opened, her mother greeting her with an expectant look. The moment was closer than ever. How would the flames of her conviction fare against a possible downpour of doubt? Lisa stood before her parents, the familiar warmth of their home contrasting sharply with the charged electric tension in the air. The aroma of dinner wafted through the corridor, a subtle reminder of the love that also came with expectation. Tonight, she would lay bare her intentions. With her heart racing, she clenched her fists at her sides, centering herself against the uncertainty looming ahead. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice surprising even her with its steadiness. The house quieted, all conversation halted, as her parents exchanged curious glances. It was time to reclaim her narrative. As they settled around the table, Lisa felt the weight of their scrutiny. "I finished my mural concept today," she began, the words tumbling out as she gestured toward her sketchbook, now an extension of her very self. "It's about resilience, hope, and finding your voice."
Her hands trembled slightly, but the fire in her gut compelled her to keep talking, to unveil the truth that anchored her newfound identity. "Art? Again?" her father asked, skepticism etched across his brow. "You always sweep issues under that guise, Lisa." The air felt thick, his disappointment palpable as the uninvited shadow of doubt hovered over her. "Dad, it's not just art," she countered, emboldened by the earlier affirmations from her friends. "It's my path forward. I need to explore this part of me." Each word built upon the last, stacking her courage higher. "You have ambitions to be successful, to make a living," her mother added gently, still clinging to concern. "What if I want to redefine success,
Lisa interjected, her obstinacy rising. What if success means I'm fulfilled? What I've been missing is the chance to carve out my identity beyond your expectations. The words felt like weights lifted off her chest, an exhalation of all she'd bottled up. Lisa watched her parents' expressions shift, the initial disdain giving way to uncertainty. It's risky, her father said slowly, scrutinizing her. We merely want security for you. The underlying fear of losing her to instability was evident. A familiar ripple of guilt coursed through her, but she pressed on, the moment too crucial to let it derail her. I get it, but living for security alone isn't living. What if I fail? Just what if I don't even try? The thought terrifies me more than any failure does. She held his gaze, willing him to see the strength burgeoning within her, the adult she was becoming who needed their support to thrive. Silence enveloped them, stretching taut with tension, shadows dancing in the corners of the room. The silence begged for resolution. Her mother sighed heavily, leaning forward. You want to pursue art, but it'll take a lot from you. It's difficult, she said softly. The vulnerability etched on her mother's face made Lisa's heart swell. What if I prove that I can do this? Lisa proposed, her voice steadier now. Let me show you the mural. I want to do it and take you on this journey with me. The sincerity in her voice punctured through the hesitancy that pierced the air. I believe in you, her mother whispered, finally reaching for Lisa's hand, as if bridging the chasm that had lingered between them. The acceptance sparked release, the weight of familial expectations slowly dissipating. Lisa felt gratitude bloom in her heart, invigorating and driving her forward. Her father remained silent, but the appraisal in his eyes shifted. Okay, paint your mural, he finally said, the flicker of approval nestled within his words. But you need a backup plan. Relief surged through her, but she felt the old familial patterns lingering. This is my plan, the only one I want to follow.
In that moment, a powerful transformation rooted within Lisa, resonating beyond artistic aspirations. She wasn't just losing her fears, she was gaining her family's acceptance. A bridge stood tall where walls once loomed. There was a new understanding, a shared vision of what freedom could look like, not only for her, but for them too. As dinner continued, conversations began to flow again, her parents gradually awakening to her blossoming independent spirit. Certainty blossomed, giving light to her transformation. Now it was not just an art project, but a redefined identity. Lisa could envision the mural taking shape, each stroke representing a personal victory, an expression of her journey, her voice, her life. Would it stand as a testament of liberation? Yes. This was her commitment to her dreams, and in claiming that, she had transformed who she was entirely. As her father spoke of future plans, parallels with her own hopes aligned, and she felt a renewed sense of confidence brewing. Lisa realized that in pursuing her true passions, she could inspire them too. The sun descended outside, casting long shadows, but a warmth engulfed the room, wrapping them in the dawning of acceptance. Through the heart of the turmoil, clarity emerged, a mosaic of newfound resolve. Lisa had stepped from the shadows of uncertainty into her brilliance, finally embracing the authentic artist she was always meant to be.
They had taken the first step into a brighter horizon together, and Lisa knew that the mural would be only the beginning of a journey steeped in courage and creativity. She had stepped beyond expectations, a true testament to transformation, ready to leave an indelible mark on the canvas she was painting with her life. This is not merely the conclusion of a story, but a powerful testament to the importance of affirming one's identity. You need to subscribe now to our channel for more exclusive emotional stories like this one. Leave a like now to make your voice heard and to feed the algorithm. Your support truly matters. Comment below your reactions and theories about this powerful ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this life-changing conclusion. Embrace the opportunity to inspire others in their journey of personal growth.